What's up, guys? Welcome to our channel, Honey Hole Angling. I want to thank you guys so much. We hit 1,000 video views, and it's taken off way faster than we expected. So thank you guys for checking out our videos. Today we have another Kevin Hutchison fly tying video for you. It's going to be the Slump-Buster, which is this fly pattern right here. Man, this is a good fly for trout, bass. I fish it for bass in the hill country. I fish it for trout. It's just a good kind of all-purpose streamer. It's really easy to tie. You just can't really go wrong with having this fly in your box. So Kevin's gonna tie this one just like he did the past couple weeks for our fly tying videos. I hope you guys enjoy. And if you guys want to book a trip with Kevin, his information's down below. He's a great guide in the hill country if you want to fish at San Marcos. Give him a call and enjoy, guys.
All right, let's take a look at the Slump-Buster Kit. You have your little kit right here, and let's see what we've got inside. If I can open it. Child-proof, so that's always difficult. You have the DVD, which you're currently watching. We have a bag of pine squirrel zonker strips. And if you don't want to use pine squirrel later on after you use these up and you're tying more of these, you can use rabbit strips, or you can use chinchilla. Pretty much anything that you can get your hands on will work. I like the pine squirrel. It's as durable as the rabbit and has a really good action in the water. And it has real fine barring on the tips also. It looks very nice. So you've got a nice bag of those in here. You have sparkle yarn. And we're doing an olive color, so we stuck with the green sparkle yarn. You also have a little bag of cone heads, and you've got your hooks, and we're using a straight shanked 3X long shanked hook. It's a Mustad 9672 equivalent. It's a TMCO, I can't remember the number, but it's a 3X long hook. And then you also have your UTC 140 thread in an olive color. I really like this thread. If you've bought any of our other kits, you notice that we use this thread in all of our kits. It's a very durable thread, doesn't fray that much, and it comes in a lot of really good colors. So this is a thread we're using. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, the Slump-Buster is one of the more fun flies to tie. It's pretty simple and works really well. You can tie it in a myriad of colors. Today we're going to do an olive one, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing we want to do is we want to take our hook and we want to pinch the barb down on it. Now there's a couple ways you can do that. You can either use a pair of pliers like I'm going to do, or you can use the vise, and I'll show you how to do that also. I prefer the pliers. There's a little more control. But if you don't have a pair of pliers, you can use the vise. It is important that you crimp the barb down because there's no way you can get the cone head on unless you do that. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to gently squeeze that barb. Now if I were going to use the vise, what I would do is open the vise up, place the hook in there, and just simply squeeze it. Now you can see it wants to move around, and this probably isn't the best way to do it. You'll break off a few tips of some fly hooks, so really try to use a pair of pliers. And again, you can get a cheap pair of pliers at Harbor Freight or someplace like that for $1 that does great on this. Okay, now we've got the barb crimped down, so we're going to go ahead and take our cone head. We take our cone head with the point facing up, and we simply thread the hook through it just like that and around, and then we can put it in the vise. Now we've got our cone head there. You can see it's movable. And we'll tack that down so it doesn't move too much. All right, so let's go ahead and get started tying here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out about 8 inches of thread. And that may seem like we're wasting the thread here, but in reality, we're going to use this thread to rib the fly in the end. So we do need to have a good amount of thread hanging off the back here. So we're going to go ahead and attach our thread with just a jam knot, and we're going to leave this long tag end hanging off the back. If you have a materials clip in your vise, you can go ahead and just hook it in that materials clip. Now we tie back to the tie-in point, and again, the tie-in point is the point between the barb and the point of the hook. That gives us a reference point as we tie more things on. We know exactly where the back end of the fly is, and that's the tie-in point. Okay, so first thing we do to form a body is we're going to take some of our sparkle braid. I like to take off a lot more than I need. I don't like working with small pieces. So I'm going to take off about 16 inches or so like that, and I'm going to go ahead and clip it. And we're going to lay it all the way along the body of the fly, and we're just going to tie it down. And don't worry if it rotates a little bit, just put your fingers in place to hold it, and we're going to tie it down all the way forward and all the way backwards. We're going to leave our thread parked in the back, and we're going to take it and we're going to wrap forward, and we're just going to wrap very quickly forward, and then we're going to wrap backwards again, and forward in a loose wrap. And now this is going to be our last wrap. We're going to wrap backwards. So we've got a nice round body, and we're going to go ahead and tie that off, and we're going to clip right there. Okay, next thing we do is we're going to tie in our squirrel for the overwing. I'm going to go ahead and pick out a squirrel zonker out of our bag here, and you'll notice that this is substantially longer than what we need, but again, it's much easier to work with a longer piece than a shorter piece, and you can trim it and use it for the next fly you're going to do. So first thing you need to do is kind of hold it up to the top here and just very gently preen it back and figure out about where the break is going to be. And what I mean by the break is where the first thread wrap is going to hit it. And you can see right here is where that point is. If I just kind of part it right there, you'll see that's right where the end of the fly is. Now to make this easy, you can do something that's just really simple. And that is get your fingers wet and wet it down and just pull it apart. And that way the hair stays in place and you're able to actually get to where you need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just preen it a little bit more forward here, like that. And now my first thread wrap is going to hit it right where I need it. So I'm going to hold that on top, come over with my thread wrap, put about 3 good ones on there, and now I've got what I need. So now, because I'm using thread that doesn't contrast with the fly, it blends in, I can just simply wrap that forward through the sparkle braid, you don't even see it, and then I just park it right behind the cone head. So now the thread is where I need it to be for the collar and to tie down the zonker strip. So we've got our zonker strip here. At this point you can trim it to length if you want, or you can just wait. I'm going to go ahead and wait. So now I'm going to brush all this back, and I'm simply going to take the tip of that squirrel and I'm going to poke it underneath the cone head. And this takes a little bit of skill. Another way that makes it a little bit easier to do is to actually pull some of that hair off of the cone or off of the squirrel zonker, and then just kind of poke that skin underneath the cone head like that. See if I can get it underneath there. There we go. And then that helps you tack it down. We'll take a few wraps over it and kind of tack it down. Now at this point, you can see that the squirrel skin is still a little bit loose on here, and we're going to fix that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and move that out of the way. Now remember, we saved this big long tag end. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to re-wet the zonker strip, and we're simply going to move this through, and we're going to kind of weave it through the hair. See if I can get this working right. There we go. We're going to take that and just weave it through the hair like that. Now this takes a little bit of skill so you don't trap much hair down. Then we move a little bit forward, take another wrap, move a little bit forward, take another wrap, move a little bit forward again. Now if your hair starts to act up, just get it wet again and it'll fold right back into place. And you want to get about 6 or 7 good wraps of this thread through it, and that's what really gives this thing the strength that you need. And then we get up to the front, tack that down, and we go ahead here and we're going to take a few wraps with our thread. And now at this point you can trim that tag end off, but it served its purpose. Go ahead and trim it off, put a few wraps on there, and now we're ready to attach the collar. Okay, to get the collar on this fly, we're going to actually use part of the tail. We're just going to go ahead and trim the tail to length, and then we're going to use what we trim off to do the collar because it's the same material. Now to measure your tail, it's pretty easy to do. You just simply fold it over. And I like my tails to be about the length of the body. So as I fold it over, I can just slide my scissors in there, look where the end of the fly is, get down to it and trim it. And that gives me a good length. That's about the hook shank length right there. So I like that. Now I've got this extra piece, and this is what I'm going to use for my collar. Now if you have a long piece like this, you can do it with your fingers. If you have a shorter piece, you might want to use a hackle pliers. But this one's plenty long enough for me to collar. You're only going to take 2 turns, and then once you're done with the 2 turns, you're going to tie it off. So the first thing I do is I go ahead and strip away some of the fiber off of the hide so that it leaves me just that little bald spot on the hide. Go ahead and take that little bald spot, and I'm going to tie that down right behind the cone, just like that. Now if there's a little tab sticking up, don't worry about it, because you're going to wrap over it. It's going to hide it anyway. You just want a really good solid tie-in. You can see I'm tugging on that pretty hard and it's not coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm going to just take one wrap around like this, and it looks good, but I want a little more volume in there. So I'm going to pull everything back with my left hand, and I'm going to take a second wrap in there and make sure it's nice and tight. Then I'm going to take my thread. I'm going to wiggle as I go through. I don't want to trap any of those fibers down, so I wiggle and tie off right behind that cone. And again, wiggle through till I get 3 good wraps on it. I'm going to push the thread away with my index finger, slide my scissors in as close as I can, and trim it. Now, you notice that the collar's still sticking up a little bit. That really doesn't matter. When it gets in the water, it'll slim down, but if you're giving these to somebody and you want them to look perfect and you want that collar to be in the perfect position, here's what you do. You strip off a little bit of that squirrel hair, dub it onto the thread, just a little bit. You maybe need about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of a dubbing noodle. Just twist it on there. Doesn't need to look pretty. Slide it up, pull everything back with your left hand, and just dub a little collar on it like that. And lo and behold, it forces that collar back. Looks beautiful. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little half hitch in there to hold everything in place. Got our half hitch in place. And then we're going to take either a whip finish tool or we're going to hand whip finish it. And we slide that around, slide it over the cone. 1. Nice 5-turn whip finish. And again, I like to, on flies that I tie for my guide business, I like to double whip finish them. I don't ever want a fly to fail because I didn't take the time to put in a good knot. So I'm going to do another 5-turn whip finish on top of that. Tighten it down. We go ahead and trim it off nice and close. And there you have it. A nice, beautiful slump buster, ready to go, ready to fish. And believe me, once you try these, you're going to really, really like them, and you're going to start tying them in a lot of colors. So good luck, enjoy it, let us know how it goes.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you again for 1,000 views. We couldn't have done it without you. If you like our content, please like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, give us some feedback. If you guys want to buy some of Kevin's Slump-Buster kits, we have them on our website. We have cool hats on our website. We have some medical mask fish stickers on our website, and we donate money from every purchase to Real Recovery, which takes men with cancer on fly fishing trips. So you're helping to support a good cause too. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.